of the OGs, but he's he goes on. Hey, he's the original podcaster, Asheville comedian podcast. Gotta give the props.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I did it for 10 years.
Wow.
I was an early adopter.
Whoa. Yeah. Like when it was called podcast because it was on an iPod.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was back when it was cool.
Exactly.
See, I'm smart. I know what's up.
Yeah, that's right. That's where it comes from.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it'd be an interesting combination because I know you were like the original Asheville podcaster, and I know Sarah, we're like into podcasts a lot.
Yeah, I love podcasts.
And like, it occurs to me that's kind of like changed. I even listened to podcasts before I started comedy too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, what podcasts are you guys digging these days?
I think it's funny when the last time we talked, I just fully realized that I mostly watch podcasts that also have video, which is not the original format. And now that seems like the standard.
Yeah.
So all of them that I are probably like newer podcasts because they all have video. I really like Stavi's World.
Yeah.
There's one that's doesn't have video that Stavros Halkias originated from, and I probably shouldn't say the name of it. It's Blank Town, and it's very, very good.
Oh, you can say whatever you want.
It's Come Town. Yeah. It's amazing.
We're in the library.
Yeah, that's kind of a recent find. I kind of like reverse engineered that from Stavi's World, but yeah, I'm like a podcast nerd now, but I'm a late adult onset podcast.
I was a young podcast nerd.
I love that.
Yeah, I know all the old podcasts.
You were never young.
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
You're one of the only people that's older than me in this community.
I know. There's only a few.
Yeah.
There's only a few. It's Carrie and me and Art. That's it.
People are like, "What's with Gio?" I'm like, "He's one of the comics that's older than me. He needs to stay in this community."
Yeah, stick around.
We must retain Gio.
And Gio, I forgot about Gio.
Yeah, I haven't been to his. I want to check out his new open mic
Thursdays.
I went last night.
Did you?
Yeah,
how was it?
It was cool.
Hell yeah.
No, it's interesting because it is like an old school, like real open mic where like no one's paying attention.
Right.
Like everyone's talking and playing pool and watching TV and they do not care.
They're not even acknowledging there's a show.
Right.
It's
right.
like that line. Sometimes people are like, this is a bad audience. And it's like, but if they're like quiet and they're facing the show, that's actually pretty good by like their old days standards.
Yeah. Totally. There was one couple, it seemed like they were on a date.
Ooh.
Like
a
the
first
social?
date?
I don't know.
God.
At the social for some reason.
Hopefully it wasn't a
Yikes.
first.
Hope it wasn't a first date. But they were like super interactive with the comedians. And like no one else in the room was paying any attention at all. but this couple was like, and the one dude was just like talking back to everybody and having conversation. No, just like having conversations, but it's like, we're trying to do a thing here.
I love when that happens.
Like you take a pause because you have a punch going and they're like, that reminds me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's this comedian in Charlotte. I think his name's Nathan Baker, and he did the funniest thing when exact situation like that at an open mic. A couple that maybe was their first date to like he was showing off though, the guy, and Nathan Baker was just like, dude, you're crushing right now. You are killing. Just kind of reversed it in a nice way. And I was like, I want to learn how to do that.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
When you can make an interruption into something better than it was before the interruption, that's my favorite thing.
That is.
But a lot of times you try and it's just like, meow.
Yeah.
I like it's an interesting setup because it's like there's a stage in the back where like bands play, and then there's this like section where it's just like nothing's happening, like there's tables and chairs but nobody's there, and so that's where everybody was doing the comedy, and they were like walking up and down this area. And
wait, it's not on the stage?
No, it's not on the stage.
It's not on that giant stage they have at the end of the main room?
No, it's not.
I mean, we know a successful open mic that also doesn't have theirs on the main stage.
Right.
So.
And they started on the stage, and when they changed it, it was better.
Yeah, it was better. It's always better to have it lower.
I think Carrie said that there's something about looking up that you like expect it to be good the whole time.
Yeah.
And an open mic is going to, like, it's weird to be doing this and have it be not, like, half shitty.
Right.
Like, if a pro comic was up there, you could do it.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Just lording over the audience. Like, you better bring something funny. And people are just like, my dick's weird. Like, boo. Well, I heard that there was a mic where you could, like, throw a tomato at a gong. I think you guys talked about that.
I used to run that. I used to run that show.
Oh my God.
The second version of that show. I didn't run the original.
You ran shows. You had a podcast.
I did.
Wow.
That was very brief.
Started
that was a very
comedy.
Yeah,
I mean, Ben I was
early.
You're the godfather of Asheville comedy.
You're supposed to come on this podcast and start like making claim, like talking. You're supposed to say things later. You're like, oh shit, like
that's right.
Like
I was the Pope of Asheville comedy.
I think Justin Blackburn like claimed to have started like all of South Carolina comedy.
Right. Yeah. Well, he did. Right. Of course he did.
He might have been there for some important things.
Oh, the Pope of Asheville comedy is so good.
Why the Pope?
Oh, because I'm the Asheville comedy's spiritual leader.
Questionable.
Is there like corruption? Is there, like
I need to listen to your podcast and see what it's on there.
You don't want to do that.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
That's great.
I love that. That's always my generation's excuse. It was a different time.
Yeah.
People used to understand irony.
Yeah.
You just have
we weren't just saying horrible things. We were being ironic.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of remained the same. Maybe it's less irony and more like, I want to say something so crazy that people can't believe I said it, And that's supposedly like, I don't know. I was on Reddit. Ooh,
that's a mistake.
For stand-up.
I like Reddit. Sometimes it's the only place that has...
Well, there are good pockets. You can find the right pockets.
When you ask a question and Reddit's the first one, you're like, okay.
Buckle up.
Here we are.
It's usually the most useful one for specific questions because companies can like scrub other stuff off and Reddit will be like, let me tell you what really went on. I don't even know where I was going with that, with the Reddit. Oh, that comedy, like, I feel like there's, like, public school comedy, and I feel like that can be definitely, like, shock value or like, roasting, and then I feel like there's, like, waspier comedy, and so it's funny to watch those dudes argue in
like
the comment
NPR
section.
Comedy? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, NPR comedy, for sure. And I feel like in Asheville, the NPR guys can actually, if it's funny, it's going to do really well against like the mental illness that is the rest of the majority of us. So
yeah, the rest of us just make everyone uncomfortable.
That's my favorite part.
Wait, are we talking about like comedians or just like American now?
Ooh,
I think it's sort of a broader brush that we're painting here of like the different types of comedy fans,
especially like in Reddit, specifically.
Reddit.
The types of people that would leave advice to like a budding comedian on Reddit, which I've learned a lot of things from, like crowd work Reddit's really interesting. You can see through the veil of some stuff, it's like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've found random like comedy advice on there. I play the drums, so I've found random like drum threads. Like sometimes Reddit will be
it's
like,
cool.
Good. Like the top voted ones are good.
Totally.
I'm into like cult movies and stuff, and there's a lot of good threads on cult movies, so that's really cool.
Do you talk about that on the podcast too? What is your podcast about?
I have to know. You don't want to.
I want.
It's gone now. It doesn't exist.
He always says that. It's like the Cure. They're like, it's our last tour.
It's just really racist or something.
No, I gotta give it up to Ben. Ben has always been kind of more like the Maria Bamford type. You've always been a progressive male comedian in this region, especially as an older guy too. I think your podcast wouldn't.
No,
you've never said anything.
No.
Maybe
in the early days, it was there was some questionable.
Okay. Oh yeah, the Pope. Think the Pope.
I mean, it started on actually. It was a radio show to begin with. It started as a radio show.
Oh,
way back, 2010.
So old.
Oh my God, that is not that long ago. I'm the youngest one, and I'm like, no.
It was a long time ago.
Oh my God,
14 years ago.
That's
Did you realize
crazy.
that?
Oh
that is
God,
crazy. That's a lot.
I feel like that's where I was like, I've been stuck maturity wise is 2010. I'm just still there.
Yeah, me too.
You want some of that, right? Like,
yeah, of course you
don't. You work with people that are like all grown up and they don't.
Oh yeah,
that's not good.
There's some like I'm not gonna go into my work because that's not fun for anyone. But there are some super serious people at my work that are not that fun to hang out with.
Yeah, they're not allowed to come on.
Yeah.
This podcast.
They're listening right now.
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
Is it corporate?
I'm not going to say anymore right now. We can talk about it.
I love my friend has a super corporate job, and I love just like the normative nature of it all. Like I love asking her like about her work life a lot, and it's just very much interesting to me.
Like culturally, just how like the formalities of it and how
Yeah.
I struggle with that stuff, but
it's tough.
It provides me the stability that allows me to like be the family dude and then do stuff like this. I'm kind of viewing it more and more that way, whereas like I can do whatever I want with comedy because it's not paying the bills. So I have like a consistent, like slightly more boring version of me that I have to be 40 hours a week.
But that's like, that can fuel the comedy.
Yeah,
I think that's
totally.
kind of what I was,
You want some suffering in your life. If you just get to do what you want all the time, I think that makes you a shittier type of person.
Yeah.
Or at least I have to believe that because I don't get to ever, I get like 8 hours a week to do what I want.
I think honestly, if you do what you want to all the time, you get bored after a while and you don't have anything to think about anymore. You're just like your brain shuts down.
Totally.
So I feel like having hard times helps you come up with ideas. Otherwise, you're just bored and you're not producing anything interesting. All right, that's good.
No, I think that's true. I'm like reflecting. I'm like, yeah, I remember just like not that long. I think weirdly comedy has this is so sad. I'm like so far on the opposite spectrum. I'm like, comedy has provided structure for me. I'm in like a loose cannon my whole life a bit. And so I feel like now I'll get so nervous before a show, but I think like it's right. It's like you might get nervous and your body's like telling you no, don't do it. But even that level of like fulfillment that you get from you might not want to do it that day. You might be more nervous for whatever reason, you know? So I do think like in that way, yeah, doing something that you kind of don't want to do leads you to being better at something that you end up wanting to do it. But,
right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, waking up early and all this stuff, like, I don't know, like anything that can provide, structure, being aimlessly, like, not doing anything all day. I don't know. I have friends that do that too, and then they also like avoid comedy as well. And I'm like, I think you need to be doing something.
They don't do
else.
shit all day, and they're not an open mic comedian by
Yeah.
night. Yeah, that's weird.
But then,
It's like people at my job that just like code the web and then they don't go out and
just
have a
put
life.
on the superhero outfit and go like bomb.
Oh God, it's not heroic. It's what we're doing is not heroic.
I think it's both. I think it's both like the worst, most narcissist thing you can do, and it's heroic. Like it's like this, it's this very. But I don't know. You said a lot of things the last time you were on the podcast that I really liked. You had this like positive, like talk. Like I think we're kind of like Gen X is a little more like your cynicism was cool, and I really like this energy. You were talking about how you would like record your set, and then you go home and you'd be up all night, and you like watch it, and you'd be like, "This is awesome." And I was like, I've kind of always wanted to embrace more of that, but I've always felt like I shouldn't because like cynicism was cool in the 90s, but I really like that. I think that's like a cool way just to be confident and own like, I did comedy tonight. I'm going to watch the video. And,
romanticizing the hell out of it.
Yeah, I
for sure.
found that like really inspirational. Like I'm trying to move in that direction a little more.
Oh God, but when it's bad, it's the pendulum on the other end. I'm like, I'm never watching this, and I don't even want to. It's
like bad because like they didn't laugh, or because you felt you didn't stand your ground, or like what would even be the like where would the shame come from?
Yeah, that's what my therapist asks me.
Is it because you didn't do your job, or is it because you wanted their? I'm always trying to figure that out. Like,
totally.
Which one?
There'll be times where I didn't feel like I did well because I riffed more and I felt like there wasn't like a strong ending, and then I'll leave and then the comics will be like, that was amazing, because they're so used to me being more regimented. So I think like the audience laughing is like point one of like the filtration system of like, did I do well tonight? Like, okay, yeah, there wasn't many laughs, but then the audience like especially like hosting, you feel like you've messed up the whole show.
Oh, for sure.
If you
Yeah.
don't kill in the top, but you're kind of not supposed to kill.
It's nearly impossible to kill at the top. But yeah, I'll still feel like if the show doesn't get good later, that I ruined everyone's night.
Yeah, it's such a responsibility to be like, not. It's the worst ego hit of roles that you can have on a show is hosting. And so I've been hosting a lot more lately, and I'm like, I hope there's a benefit to this, because this does not feel great all the time. But when you kill, you're like, when the show goes well and you do well. But yeah, so when I feel like I don't do well, I'll listen to, I don't think it's always the audience's response. I think it's sometimes like me knowing I forgot a couple jokes, and then it getting like it's like a combination. Like I'll get a medium response, and then I knew I forgot like my Sarah Silverman thing or something. And I was like, I could have really ended on a pop. Instead, I trailed off and then forgot. So kind of when I mess up fundamental things and it goes mediocre, I would almost rather I feel like sometimes the medium response is the hardest one.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
When somebody's just like,
yeah.
Brutal bomb is a little more like, whoa, something happened.
at least something went.
It was memorable happened.
Yeah, exactly. I can record that. It's just that's sort of been my set for the past year. Is just like, it's okay, and it does feel like, why am I doing this?
I know,
because it's like no one really likes this, including me.
Well, but you must get something out of it if you're doing it, though.
It's
sticking to that.
Yeah.
It's loneliness, really.
Oh, interesting.
It's just like I was going to say this earlier, but like doing comedy is the only and stuff like this is the only place where I feel comfortable in my own skin. Everywhere else, I am totally can't. And I'm having a moment like right now where I'm like, what am I?
Well, it's because you just.
What am I trying to say?
Yeah, I just did that a couple times in this, but yeah.
That's encouraged. It's all part of the long. It's like this is unedited. This is all.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, because I used to do a lot of edits on my podcast.
That's how you crank them out a lot. Is you just build it so you can ship it fast.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you about your.
No.
So yeah, going medium, kind of.
Yeah, it's like you did the bare minimum to get people to respond. That to me that's more of a reflection on me and how much effort I put into it is not enough to get a good response or a bad response. It's just kind of like floating in the middle.
You've got like good jokes that you don't tell anymore. So it's almost like
because
I
they're
look
old.
at you and
You can't do them anymore.
I can respect that.
You burn them.
But you're still not. You could probably do like a 5 that would get laughs, but you're choosing to be like, I'm going to explore some new weird places. I guess I don't know. I have to watch you, and I'm like, what is the. Like, because one time I think I was talking to you years ago, and I was like, you're kind of doing like a satire of comedy, right? And you were like, what do you mean? I was like, never mind, nothing.
I will say I'm doing a character. It's not me, on stage. It's like it's like my was it the ego, the super ego, and the id? I think it's the id part of me that's on stage, but it's not really all of me.
What's the id part? Is that the one?
The id part is just the idiot.
Oh, okay.
Is that
the
really?
moron.
Oh my gosh.
It's like short for idiot. It's like the same letters and everything. That's weird.
Yeah, it's like the part of you that's just like base level, grunting and moaning.
Yeah, because do you feel like you do a character like it's you're not this exact same. Yeah, there's some people like Hillary. I feel like when she walks up there and back, like solely, it's like there's no change.
Oh no,
yeah, it's 100% her.
But to what degree do you guys feel like you change when you?
Yeah, I lean into like the messier sides of myself. I got that advice kind of early on, so I do like to. I don't know. It's hard because I change so frequently. Like I have jokes about how I dress like in really big clothes, and that's definitely like how I am at home. But when I'm out trolling for Pole, I would get very dolled up. You know what I mean? And so then I would feel like, okay, are like, is my set as a whole really painting like the right picture? And I have to like remember that like it's really leaning into like can be a mess sometimes. When I say that, I mean like literally if you show up to my apartment at any given time, I might like not let you in because I'm so like, oh no, it's crazy in here. So I like bring that part on stage, or I'm like, you know, just like the sides that aren't so pretty. I don't know, going up and bragging or something, you know, but like I am
the
like
comedy's more in the fucked up shit than in the like achievements.
Yeah, but I do have like cool sides of myself that, you know what I mean? That like, I'm not going to go on stage and be like, it's like unrelatable to do.
But if you're making them laugh with the dark shit, I think you are kind of showing that you're cool and you got things going on. Cause that's like, even though you're not saying it, it's happening, right?
Yeah.
If they like you and they're laughing, you are kind of showing off in a like secret way or.
Yeah, maybe that's my way. It's like that's my like ego thing is like, how can I be cool without seeming like I'm trying to be too cool? But
this is our way of being cool, right?
Yeah.
This is how we're cool.
Yeah, I think that's what you were saying with like the social side of it.
Yeah.
Like, the ironic part about that is that comedy can be very isolating.
Yeah.
And so you're getting like a hit and then you have like a drought.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely like a...
Isolating, you mean like afterward?
Like when you start traveling especially, like, and you're like getting put up in like small like hotels and it's like really, you're trying to save money and it's like depressing and or just like it's a solitary thing, you know, you can like write together, but mostly you have to have experience. You can have experiences together, but the comedians are really only hanging out at like where you're displaying the product.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Well, except when we go over to Carrie's house and sit around his bonfire.
I want to do that. I want to do that.
Yeah, next time
I love all the
he hasn't
gatherings.
done it in a while, but we
should. There was like bowling happening. Like there was just like random things, you know.
When did the bowling happen? I didn't hear about the bowling.
You have to be around.
Yeah, you haven't been around, but I always feel bad because like I get to go out 3 nights a week and I'm home with my family 4 nights a week. This is well documented on this podcast. I'm a big numbers guy, but I have to like choose between a bonfire night and a stage night, and I've tended to always choose like stage time as my hangout. So I feel like I haven't shown up for a lot of those things. I'm starting to feel a little bit bad about it. Like I probably should go over to the bowling alley instead of like me on stage.
No, this is like your version of that too.
This is a new way to sneak
exactly.
in. Yeah,
this is,
You're becoming like a very. I watched the whole Petey and Cody.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah. I'm like, this is like becoming like a thing that the comedians like we're all gonna watching it and we all kind of like everybody like a lot of people talk like I know people that search their name.
I just heard you could do that, which that kind of
scary.
But I mean
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's the name of the game. We're not supposed. It's like
What app do you use to search the name? Do you just go to like a podcast app?
I wish I knew. I asked ChatGPT.
Trust that too.
Yeah, I tried to figure it out.
I searched myself.
You asked ChatGPT.
I was like, how do you find your name in a podcast? I sent it the video and it was
a good
like,
idea. I'm surprised it didn't work.
Pretty good.
I do. I sound like a narcissist on this show. So
We all do. That's what the show's about.
Exactly. We're talking into microphones
At the library.
at the library.
oh my god!
This is insane.
I said trolling for poll in a library. That's
Sure
crazy.
did. You sure did.
I love that.
Well, I was thinking about like, have you ever Googled yourself to find out what's out there about you?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Girl.
Like I
We're stand-up comedians. Like,
yeah.
Oh my god!
But I Google myself and there's almost nothing, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
I worked hard at that. Actually, there's 2 other guys that have the name Ben Atkins.
Yeah.
So there's a guy.
Only 2?
Well, I'm sure there's more, but like two notable people that have named Ben Atkins. There's one that's like a country singer. He's pretty good, actually. It's kind of rockabilly style. Not bad. And then the other one is a Detroit serial killer who killed
way
like
worse.
18 people.
What's worse, rockabilly or? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
But I think I'm number
Serial killer, rockabilly.
Over the long term, who's doing more damage to society? Like, how many people does he kill? You know, how many hits?
That's fair.
And then you, and they're like,
and then me.
But your pod's out there though.
It is, but
It's audio only, which is how I absorbed it. I don't watch
Yeah.
it, but you're one of many people that come on. You're like, I can't wait to watch it, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't I just throw it up? And then I think it is kind of helping, like to have it up there.
Is it?
But I was like something when you couldn't Google before comedy too, and now I'm like, if they ever want to make like an AI bot version of me that like murders people, like all the footage of me talking on this podcast. So, you know what I mean? Just having yourself out there, that many hours of you, your voice in your face.
Right.
Definitely.
I have kind of always been like, that's creepy, but now I'm like, this is so fun that I'm going to risk like apocalyptic shit later for doing the podcast now because I like it.
Well, and it's interesting that you're doing this now, because now we know all the dangers of doing this.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't 15 years ago when we were like, oh, the internet's fun.
Yeah, we should really know better by
Right.
2024. I'm like, I'll start mine this year.
I feel like if you worry too much about what's out there, I'm the wrong person to ask, but out there of you on the internet, then you just become Gollum about your image.
Right.
And then it's like some negative thing that like if someone like leaked something of yours, you would be like ruined forever.
Right.
It's like, I'm glad to know that that's not the case for, you know, like the shamelessness of comedy and just everything.
Yeah, I want to
like,
get booked. I want to like do this for my whole life. So it's like there's no way to avoid videos of me being out there. It's really the worst that could happen is just no one ever watches any of them because they find me boring. I think that's really the darkest thing. It's like just 0 views on everything. Maybe if I talk with other people that people like, maybe that'll.
That's hilarious. Yeah, people that podcast alone. Oh man,
Ugh.
some of them are
I tried
like.
it once.
tough.
I was like, this is insane.
That's really tough.
You're the only one.
Do you listen to any solo podcasts?
Yeah, I do, but not. Yeah, I listen to. I guess like Tim Dillon's. Not all the time, but I will because he's so funny.
He is so funny.
So
I didn't
funny.
know he did with solo one.
It's the ramblings of a wild man, you know, comedian, and then just for like jokes, it's like Alex Jones is hilarious, and he's solo on there. It's like no problem, okay. So I guess I mostly don't watch them, but like I can see how like Tim Dillon's do get crazy views, and it's like commendable to be alone somehow. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to be able to just sit there and ramble for 30 minutes or whatever.
But
just
I guess
off the top of your head like that,
If you had a producer-
with nothing to bounce off of.
Yeah,
Like you're
that's-
not looking at any, you're not
That's the
seeing
part,
anyone.
'cause I'm just like, that's what the whole comedy journey is for me, is trying to be understood, be like, okay, I'm losing people, but like just to do it alone and then somebody else alone listens to it, that kind of blows my mind. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It connects with you. It makes you laugh.
The Tim Dillon one. Okay, so I don't know if it's a generational thing, but I definitely like will put stuff on while I'm doing stuff, and I don't always. Sometimes I just like
ambient?
people talking, and
Yeah.
and if you can like tune in and out, and it's like you're not having to follow along. I feel like there is value in his, but it's like a rare. It's like a rare mood I'll be in, kind of, and it's hilarious and commendable. But they do have a producer though. So sometimes when the producer laughs, that adds just enough of like.
There's somebody else in the room, but
So
they're not.
technically-
They don't have a mic on, but they're still there.
Yeah.
So maybe he can still kind of look over and see if he's getting a reaction.
It's still an audience
they're
that laughs.
holding up signs like, "Yay!" Ha, 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 ha.
Overall, they're probably all bad that are solo. You know, like it's like public access, which. I wish I was in the era of those. Were y'all?
Oh yeah, no, I remember public access. We had a public access station in Asheville.
Oh, like
for a while.
like a local PBS type thing?
No. This is public access, so it was like television of the people for the people.
Yeah,
Like
like
you
Wayne's
have-
World.
Oh yeah, we had that's right. We had like Mount Dungeon in the 2000s.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
had
yeah,
that channel here.
Yeah, exactly.
URTV.
URTV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could say whatever you wanted, right? For the
Right.
most part, or could you be
I mean,
crazy?
you can, but and you aren't. It's not regulated by the FCC, but there are certain regulations that the station has you follow, so they can take you off the air if you violate their rules.
Is it live, literally live though, or is it pre?
It can be, yeah, it can be.
That's
for sure.
so man. That I would like to revisit that. If I could go back in time, I would do
There's some
public access.
amazing public access.
Yeah,
stuff.
my buddy Gavin moved here like in 2006 or 7, and I had never found that channel. And he was like, he's a big TV nerd, so he was like, "Have you guys seen this channel?" He was obsessed with it. He was
Yeah,
like,
it was
"It's
wild.
crazy.
It was
just
wild.
all the craziest people in Asheville doing a show."
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
were some actually really good productions. There was one called, I remember this show. It was called Jen Can't Cook, and it was a cooking show of someone who can't cook and
Love
was
that.
bad at cooking.
Sounds great.
And it was like produced like a real TV show. Like I think they had like a crew.
Whoa,
and
like editing
they had a
and
budget and everything. It was a
all for
serious
somebody
show.
that can't do it.
Yeah, they just.
but that's like what Instagram is.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
the internet
exactly.
now. This is
Yeah,
like
she
20
was
years ahead of its
innovative.
This was
time.
pre, this was like the very beginning of YouTube and stuff like that. So I think that they were trying to transition to that world.
Yeah.
Oh,
but,
that's so
But
cool.
yeah, it was pretty.
Where's
it was awesome.
Jen?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to her.
I mean, I feel like that's like content for me now is like, why wouldn't you want something real? Like the long unedited stuff is so like when I watch a show now that's like got lighting and edits and people are like saying lines they didn't write, I'm like, this is such fucking bullshit. I always knew it, but now I'm just watching like stuff like this and I'm like, I don't even want to see any fake shit ever again. Why would you spend more time, money, budget on something that's so fucking fake?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like a great Oscar movie and you're so fake it's amazing, all right, but like
See,
this is better.
I'm still the
Yeah.
opposite. I'm the opposite. I love produced stuff. I love movies. I'm like a movie freak. So like, I love seeing how, I see like directors doing their craft and watching them do it, and I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I see, reality TV or somebody, mowing their lawn on YouTube, and I'm like,
Reality TV is much more set up than you think, and I
yeah.
love reality TV, but they really will go over full scenes now. Like the Real Housewives of Miami were caught rehearsing a scene, and I was like, that sucks.
See,
I
that was
love
like the
that
gateway
stuff.
drug. It was like first it was all fake. For some reason, we just watched fake shit only on TV besides like sports, and maybe that's not. And then I feel like reality TV kind of blurred the lines where it's like it's real, but it wasn't. It was kind of like improvised. But now we're just all the way to like it really is real. It's just like
Yeah.
just whatever the fuck.
whatever
Yeah.
you want it to
Yeah,
be.
which
That's
I think
it.
is kind of nice. I mean, I don't know. It's like I have kids, so I see them kind of doing what you said. Like they put on like one screen, and it's kind of like a long form thing that you drift in and out of, and then there's another screen where you're doing something else. So
It's so bad.
I kind of like the idea of like ambient entertainment. Though. Like I've kind of been like I'll be like writing bits and. Then I'll have like a podcast on, just kind of, and it's like I can kind of zone in and out of these different things, and it's like this unfocused state of mind that creativity can still kind of come from. So I don't know. I think
I'm glad that works for you.
well, it's
I
I'm
go
experimenting.
fucking insane when that happens.
Oh, really? You like to
Yeah.
be like hyper focused?
No, I can't not. I'm never focused on anything, but any additional stimulus that I introduce to it, like I just like it's gone. All my focus is gone, and I can't.
Do you need it though? Because sometimes I am so hyper focused, like for my job and being a dad, that like sometimes I like to just like get scattered, just like
But then my brain just empties when that happens. Like my brain just goes blank.
That's like enlightenment. That's like the that's like the Zen. It still sounds good.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. But I'm not doing anything. I'm not creating anything. I'm just like sitting there. Well, what I'm doing is playing video games on my phone. That's what I'm doing.
It's
Oh my
starting to
God.
sound bad. Now it sounds bad.
That's
now
bad.
it sounds
Now
bad.
it sounds bad.
What in the Candy Crush is going on? You just sit in a room with no other like noise on and play a game on your phone? Like
No. There's usually like music or something in the background.
I like how you were like, I just don't get anything done. I'm like, that's good. You're like, my mind is a blank canvas. I'm like, also good. You're like, I'm playing video games. It's like, aha! You're fucking wasting. You are wasting your goddamn time.
You got me.
Take long,
Do you spend money on the games on your phone?
No.
People
never,
are
never.
addicted to doing that.
Oh, I can't. No.
Like you
I can't.
buy like
I can't ever-
virtual money and you go in. Like I
Yeah.
was over at my friend's house and the teenage kid was like, "Mom, I need the $20 to buy like
Right.
some weapons in this virtual world." She's like, "Okay, honey." I'm like, "What the fuck?" is
No, hell no.
No. My wife handles the money, so I do not buy any video game things. No,
I like that you
definitely.
won't say what game you play on your phone.
Oh, it's the most embarrassing game possible.
I love that.
Now we have to put it on the podcast.
It's the nerdiest stuff. I play all these what are they, Finder games, or I can't remember what they're called, but it's like when you're like searching for different things. Like there's like a room, and there you're looking for the different clues to solve the mystery, so you can get out the door to the
like
next
escape
room.
room.
So, yeah, I guess it's
Zelda.
kind of escape.
It's like in a.
No, well, it's kind of like that, but no.
Is it murder mystery?
Yeah, there's like murder mystery ones.
I haven't played video games in like 30 years, so.
Oh, you should get back into it.
Those are
People are like, how do you have all this time? I'm like, I don't watch shows. I don't drink alcohol. I don't play video games. You can have a podcast.
Oh, well, that's true.
If you
That's
don't do
true.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's your thing? Because he just said all these things that made him sound all enlightened, and then revealed what it really was.
Emptiness.
What's your?
Probably I don't know how to stop doing things might be my problem.
Oh,
like my wife will
that
like
sounds like
just chill and relax. And
My problem is that I'm just a perfectionist.
sound like-
yeah, that sounds like an interview answer. I love that.
Huh. Let me try.
that's
I
you,
don't know.
though.
I've murdered a few people that I've never actually been caught for. I don't know. No, that's not
okay.
true.
We're gonna find out.
I mean, what is the question like? Why am I a piece of shit, or what? Am I?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, we're
I
all
think
crap. What's your crap?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're not really doing this.
No, we can
We're
put a
just
pen in
messing
it.
with
Yeah,
you.
we'll put a
We're
pen
not
in it.
really
You
gonna
like
make it
numbers?
into
Emotionally available, maybe. I don't know. Like we could get there.
Oh,
get
you
that.
use
I get that.
time management maybe to be emotionally unavailable.
Distract myself from looking with lying there with the truly blank mind that Ben claimed to have before he revealed his video game addiction.
Wow.
Because he's the one with the problems here.
Video game addiction.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
bad.
well, we can.
It's bad. Right now, I'm playing one called Tricky Doors.
Why are these doors so tricky?
It's hard to get through them.
What?
Why?
You gotta find the things to get through the door. There's keys.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
there's, different like devices you need to turn the knob, and then you have to do the puzzle to figure out how the door opens.
Is it ever like Alice in Wonderland where you got to drink something to get the right size?
Sometimes
Really?
you do.
Wow.
So,
Is it on your phone?
it's on my phone.
And it's just
$3.
$3.
It's free.
That's
$3.
crazy.
Doesn't your phone just hurt though? Aren't you like old enough to where your phone just
Oh yeah,
hurts?
my eyes.
Yeah, like trying to just navigate. Like I'm fucking fast on a computer. I can I'm good with computers. But this shit, it's just like it's too.
No, my
I'm
eyes
too
are
old
destroyed.
to-
My eyes are destroyed.
Yeah,
I can't
everything is
see anything.
deteriorating. I can't navigate a small surface.
This is how I have to. I'm glad this is a video podcast. 'Cause this is how I have to play this game. Here it is, Tricky Doors. Tricky Doors, right?
Okay, so it's a door opening.
Door
Oh, great!
open,
We're
you
playing
click
video
play
games on the
different
podcast
games.
now.
Wow.
And then you open the thing, and it's like
a naked lady.
okay. See, this is a puzzle that I have to solve.
So it is like Candy Crush.
Yeah. But then
Tricky
but then
doors.
I'm like on a spaceship, and I have to get through that door. But I have to solve all the puzzles and find all the clues so I can get through the door. But this
How
is how I
many
have to play.
hours are you logging?
Boring.
It doesn't log the hours, so I don't know. It's pretty bad.
That's
But I have found myself lately like going to bed and turning out all the lights and then playing the game for another hour in the dark.
Your eyes
right
are-
before I'm
your eyes are
asleep.
fucked.
Oh, it's so bad.
Flame balls in your skull.
right,
Oh my
right
God.
before you drift off to dreamland. Just
Yeah.
throwing an hour of tricky doors
This
on your
is
brain.
how I have to do it now, though. I have to look at it like this.
This is for real. This is like real shit, man.
Oh, this is the real stuff you're talking about. It's not production, no,
No.
laugh track, just
None of that.
sticky doors. Sticky doors. It's cool. I played The Sims, so I'm not. I used to.
I mean, I think my productivity thing really can be like a real addiction, though. I think it is just like I
Yeah,
think there's
sure
a
it can.
thing where you can like it's like you're almost like your like identity is just tied to what you're getting done every day instead of just being like hanging out. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
you're replacing having a personality with getting things done.
Exactly. Yeah. What's funny about that? I don't understand. It's horrifying. And it's real.
But that's why comedy actually is so fitting. You probably would some people in your do people know that you're a comedian like in your job and stuff? Do they?
They're kind of like a few people have found out recently. I kind of like to keep it on the DL because like early on there'd be some like dude in charge and be like, oh, we have technical difficulties. Let's have the comedian tell a few jokes on this Zoom call. So it's almost like better if people don't know. And then like I guess people might find something on here that I said, but yeah. So I don't advertise it. But
Okay,
but then when
fair.
I get to know like my close friends at work, we talk about our lives together. I'm like, I'm a comedian, and they're like, whoa, and I'm like, yeah, it's definitely the coolest thing about me.
I love that.
Don't you guys feel the same
Right,
way? It's
it
like
is.
you're like, all right,
is.
we've been hanging out for a while. I'm gonna have to drop this on you, and it's like a real boring,
Oh, it is
it's like
so
nerds.
fun.
So you're like, I do comedy.
I love that. It's so
am
true.
cool.
It's almost like I don't want to say it too soon because I don't want to be a person that's like, I'm a comedian.
I know.
It's our first conversation. You need to be impressed by that. You know what I mean? Like I almost feel like it is a vanity thing. I'm trying to
Yeah.
manage.
I'm covering OnlyFans, so I usually offer that up comedy really quick. I'm like, yeah, I do comedy.
Yeah.
Don't ask me anything
That's
else.
my main internet thing that I do.
Don't do anything else on the
Not
internet.
for 10 years. That's what I was doing for 10 years. So.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I offer it. That is like the coolest thing about me, though, which is so funny because when people come to the shows, I'm like bombing. I'm like,
Yeah, you got to tell them. But people are like, where
Yeah.
should I go? I'm always like, well, Asheville Music Hall, you can't go wrong. It's like a great 4 minutes of time. It's well run. And they're like, oh, I can't wait to come see you. And I'm like, but I might be just working on some new shit that is bad. But people, like the meta of it all in podcasts, I feel like the average person kind of knows that now. That like how open mics work and stuff. There's like always people that have never been to a comedy show, but they listen to like 100 hours of Mark Maron or whatever. And they
Right,
kinda,
so they get it.
Yeah, so they seem to get it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I always offer the Asheville Music Hall too, and people are like, where should I go? I'm like, that one.
Yeah.
That one. If you see me, because the audience is plentiful and usually very nice and edgy enough for my stuff. Like it's pretty great. So yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
What are you looking so terrified for?
Do you kill at the Odd?
I do okay at the Odd. That's probably my favorite room to do because it is like I think it's the most welcoming to me
Yeah.
of all the rooms.
Yeah.
But
You fit in that room.
yeah, I do. Okay.
And when I first started comedy, Ben used to do his podcast in the Odd over.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They had these booths over there, and
Yeah.
they'd have headphones on. It was like the first podcast. I was like, someday, maybe I'll get to be on.
Oh
Ben's
my
podcast.
god! Full circle moment. Look at
There you
this.
go. But you don't have the headphones.
No, I'd kind of. It's one more thing to set up, and it makes it a little less natural. So
That's true.
I'm trying to build it so we can crank it out. I noticed y'all no problems, but a person who's not a comedian might not be able to.
Sure, you got to hold it up.
Holding
there.
a microphone.
These are cartoid microphones. You have to hold them closely.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
If we had the
You could do this a little, but you need to keep it consistent.
yeah, it's got to be in line.
Yeah.
with your.
But you said something on the podcast too last time about just holding a microphone too, and like Dante said that when he was on. Like I'm really starting to change my mind about like that this counts as getting better at comedy. Like this is like a really new realization for me. Like Dante was like, he's like you. He's like got good real fast, and like he did a podcast before comedy, and he was like, well, I was just holding a mic in my hand having conversations, and
Yeah.
I got comfortable with that for a few months, and then I just got up on stage, and it's like that helped. And you were kind of saying that too. You might want to just get a mic to hold, and I think there is something about
it does
like
help.
we're getting like an hour in of like this is like a long rep. We're doing an hour of hold mics talking like this is gonna like bleed in, and I want my comedy to be more conversational. More, I want it to feel more like this, and not like I memorized these things, So I feel like this is the two worlds are merging into one. Like,
Yeah.
I do feel like you've like gotten more conversational maybe since the inception of this podcast.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's
Even
why I
at
wanna
the
crank
Odd
out
the last
100 of them,
time.
because I feel like this is a way to get better at comedy.
Yeah, it's like a daytime way to get some time in talking with comedians. I like hanging out with comedians so much. Like that's just hanging out recreationally. You can riff and things.
Yeah, it's cool.
happen. It's so
It's
fun.
fun.
And
That's-
recording it too,
yeah.
I'll listen back and I'll realize I missed a lot of things you guys said, and I can hear them again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if you have any good clips, send them over because
Yeah.
I might use some of that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll all be up. You can have whatever you want. I'll do.
No,
like
I was asking you to clip it out for me because I don't want to go do all the work.
I would happily make a reel for you. I'll make one reel for anybody that if you ever have one or need a reel made, send me a clip. I'll
that's
capture it
cool.
and clip it
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you.
I love that. Yeah, I'm gonna start posting eventually. It's terrifying.
I am not. I will stay off social media.
It feels like it's
Thank
getting
you.
so flooded with bad stand-up clips now that I think the podcast clips seem a little more interesting to me. I mean, I don't know. You should totally do it though. You should have some up, and I think. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're good at stand-up, go ahead and do it.
That's what I'm saying though, is like I feel like I have so many like non-comic friends that are like, you definitely should be posting already. You've been doing it for a year and a half. And I talked to Harrison Tweed and Kenyon Adamchek, and they both were like, no, that's way better that you're waiting until you're like a little better to start posting, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna listen to
you're like getting good fast, but I think the people who do go like, it's my first 6 months of stand-up, so I'm gonna post reels every week. It's like then when people that have done it for a while and post ones, they're like, it's flooded with these bad stand-up clips.
Yeah.
Cody always says that when he comes on. He's like, there's so many people wanting to prove to their friends they're doing stand-up for 2 months that they flood the internet with shitty stand-up reels, and then nobody watches them anymore.
I know.
Which is
and people argue they want to see you get better, which I get, but like I'm doing the same material all around town so they can see me get better in person. They don't need a souvenir to rewatch it,
Yeah, burning material, that's like an interesting thing. I was curious how people feel about that. Some people say they don't want to burn their material.
You have to love your stuff.
Yeah.
You don't love your old stuff.
I don't love all of my old stuff. There's a couple of things, like I find it hard to do, like you're referring to the dog bit, which everybody talks about, the dog bit, the puppies, the pop, yeah. Those dogs are dead now.
That's funny. If you did the whole bit and then you were like, those dogs are dead now at the end, I think that might be.
That's funny.
But it is.
I'll just make a reel out of it instead.
It just feels weird.
I think we got it.
Oh, you got it? Yeah. Okay. It just feels weird to do stuff like that I literally wrote that joke like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And it just feels weird to do something that old.
That's like me with pre-pandemic material. Is like I'm starting to feel like if I was doing it that long ago, I really shouldn't be doing it unless it's like a longer, like trying to do like 45 minutes and do everything. But yeah, the Odd is like my favorite right now. I feel like that this conversational tone I'm trying to get into, like the Odd is the place where I feel like I can really just like try all new stuff and take risks. And I still feel at Asheville Music Hall that it's like, I don't know, it's like harder somehow, or it's like, I gotta have like polished, there has to be like some punches that I know are coming that are gonna work, or I don't know, I can still get a little like psyched out there somehow.
I don't ever get on there anymore. I've shown up 3 times and not gotten on the list.
It's gotten so crazy. Yeah, you have to show up really early.
Yeah, and
but they also do this thing
That's
now.
not right.
Yeah, they do like I think the showcase at the end of the month was supposed to like help people be like okay with giving up like other spots. You know, if they're like, well, you're booked at the end of the month if you don't get on, to help get other new people on. I don't know. There's got to be a way to fix that. But there's just so many new comedians and people. It's like the best one all week, and it's like it feels like a show. So
and I think they had talked about doing like online signups and stuff like that. Maybe they could revisit that and figure out a way.
You can do that for the showcase. So you should just
for the
do
showcase,
that.
yeah. But I'm just talking about for the regular mic.
Yeah,
man, I wish they just make Wednesday just full on. It's like that's basically the Good Nights of Asheville. It's like the top places with the comedy's so flooded. It's like the open mic is kind of like you need to know somebody,
Right.
And there can be a few bucket spots. If you're a brand new comic, you can come and you can put your name in and you can maybe be on it. But if not, you'll get to watch all the people in Asheville do it. So it's still like I feel like that one, the sign up sheet's out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be there like 6 or 6:30 to get on.
Crazy.
But do you know what? You also have to go to other open mics when you're brand new. Like Dante, I feel like his first time was at Hot Seat or something. I remember
I saw him at
being
Root Bar his third time ever.
Yeah, and he killed, and then that you quickly can get like grandfathered into being like
work your way up to the top.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people will like. And I did that too. I wanted to go to Disclaimer or Nothing at the very, very beginning because you're trying to like do well enough to like keep going to encourage yourself. Kind of like a protective measure to go only to Disclaimer a little bit for me. But y'all killing at the Odd, I find that interesting because it's like a punk place, and you guys and Ben Gibson like I guess does really well there. And I feel like you guys add like an angle that's I can't figure out the Odd. If y'all have any advice on figuring out, they don't like my like overtly like shock value.
Don't wear the sports outfits. Wear like some goth shit. Come. like there's some ripped up, like
I thought
just try
that's
it. Just like come in goth sometime and do the same shit and see what happens. Yeah, I'm goth Sarah Silverman now, and just like flip all the jokes and just see if it.
I was a goth kid.
Really?
Yeah, I hated being called goth,
Yeah.
but that was definitely what it was. But yeah, like that's why I thought that I could like meld in, but I guess I like am too sporty, exactly too sporty. I'll wear this big black T-shirt.
I mean,
though, and I'll be like,
that was all just kind of mostly a joke. I don't really think. Like,
I think it does change it though.
But it's like I always kind of want to not like the last thing I ever want to do is like wear what I wear to work to the odd, like wear like jeans and a nice shirt. Like I'm like just be even more of like the face of the enemy, like the middle-aged white guy in this place.
Yeah,
but
there's a middle area.
I've been wanting to tweak my like. So you guys said something earlier that I wanted to circle back to, but like to what you talk about, like for me. Oh, you were saying like digging into the more fucked up shit instead of the braggy shit, and like early on, I had a lot of laughs about my kids, and like I just don't want to talk about that anymore. Like Zalata came on, and she was like, I when people find out I'm a mom later, that always is cool because like I'm not just the dad comic. So I think like the Odd is a place to try to like dig into like darker, weirder shit. So I've kind of embraced that room for that. Like really just trying to say like things that I wouldn't say. Like I feel like safe to get into some real dark, weird shit. And when I go into that, I feel like the Odd really like supports me on that. But then I'd have to kind of clean that up to take it other places. But it's like this is like the journey into that dark, fucked up. Like it's the most fun. Like I think the Odd is like just that's what they want, and there's like a lot of support and love for that there.
Yeah. And I'm a weirdo, and so that works really well there, and doesn't work as well in other places.
That 1 minute pause inside at the top, like they're like
they're cool with that.
This is
nobody else is
the first time
cool.
I think I saw you was
nobody
there.
else is cool. With
yeah,
that,
it destroyed. Yeah. It's
I always picture like Ben at the Odd and like Cloud laughing real loud. I'm like, it's all tuned in,
Yeah.
That's right. There's when the stars align and then sometimes they don't. You're like, this room's not working for me.
I mostly do the show for them anyway. for Cloud, they are my biggest laugh always. So
Cloud rules.
I love if I get a laugh from Cloud.
Yeah.
There's certain laughs I know I laugh at a lot, and sometimes that like is annoying to people. I laugh at a lot of shit, and people will be like,
"What people?"
I don't know. Sometimes comics. I don't know.
That's the best thing you can do. I always feel like people? I don't laugh. I'm not like a loud laugher, and I wish I was. But I think that's great.
It's like if I'm gonna be accepted anywhere, it's gonna be comedy. I was a loud laugher at a call center. Like this has been my life forever. This didn't just start to like. I don't know. I was
a loud laugher at a call center. That's a funny line. You should work that into something.
People were like,
I was a loud laugher at a call center.
There's a story there for sure.
Escalations is like we heard you in the back, or like the quality people were like, we heard you laughing in the background of someone else's call, and I was like, oops, sorry. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was as corporate as I made it.
That's it. That's as far as you've never
that's
done.
Pretty bad though. Like that. I think that's.
Bad.
Would you guys do corporate gigs? Would you do a corporate gig?
I would have to be the personality hire.
Yeah.
There would be no way. You know what I mean? I would have to have minimal responsibilities, and I just come in with charisma. And yeah. I would like to, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. They pay really well.
Oh God,
I have some thoughts on this topic because you
Do
guys
you?
might have
Oh, have you ever done one?
Because I've done a lot of clean shows, so it's very close. Like I've never gone into a casino or corporate or college or cruise yet, but I'm like I have the set for those places, and I think over the next 5 years I want to do one of each of those. But that's the last place I really want to be.
Right.
But it's like the opposite of the Odd. Like I went and did some clean shows in Tennessee last month, and I like played my 30 clean, like everything that's clean from like the last 9 years, and that really makes me want to go to the Odd and be as fucked up as possible.
Yeah.
What's the real me? It's like pressing play on that clean act, but those gigs will pay. And you can use that money to then go to Atlanta for 3 or 4 nights, stay at an Airbnb and just explore their mics. And it's like one time doing a clean show paid for those shows. So I kind of look at it that way. Like why limit yourself? I love the artistic shit, but it's like, why wouldn't you take the challenge on of trying to like do corporate? You'll probably bomb. It'll probably feel soulless, but just do it once,
No, I would totally
have
do
the
it.
experience.
Yeah. I misunderstood. I thought you meant like getting a corporporate job. Doing a corporate gig.
Did you mean?
No,
I meant a corporate gig is what I meant.
No, I think you're
and
so
I do
right,
have a corporate
though.
job, so I probably I'm already like one foot's already in the fucking.
I think I feel like
Trash can.
corporate gigs could like me because I'm not that, potentially, depending on the company.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I feel like I can, like, wide audience. That's why, like, the odds so specific that I kind of miss the mark.
Yeah, it's
So,
niche.
Well, I think it's about having that wide amount of material to choose from, so you
Yeah.
can just like pick
Right.
and choose those things that you know are going to work in that really closed up environment. If you have those things, you can.
the
you
more
can do that.
material you have, the
Yeah,
more you
exactly.
can like cater it to the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's hard to know because sometimes I'll be in a room where I feel like the place won't get me, and then like I went into this like really like upscale looking kind of brewery place in Charlotte, and it's Charlotte, so maybe that, I don't know, they loved it, and I just thought
Yeah.
they were like kind of like more like uppity looking crowd, but they were
Uh-huh.
kind of young, kind of like young professionals, and
Yeah.
I think that kind of corporate gig would get me. But if we're talking like sometimes there's certain shows around town where it'll be like the older audience will come in later and then they'll sit in the front because the front is empty, and then the back is way more into my material, but the front is more like,
Yeah.
you look more like my daughter, and I don't want to hear
Yeah.
her talk
Right.
about pre-cum.
You're
You know?
You're challenging them on there. Yeah.
And I lean in, and I don't have I don't know if it's a skill set to like adjust as you go that you
Yeah,
need
that's
to do.
tougher. That's tougher for sure.
And then there's a certain point where it's like you've lost them and you can't get them back. And
Yeah.
then what do you do at that point? Do you try to like ride that line, or you go, you know what, I've lost you and fuck you?
That's what
and
I
then
do.
maybe they go, well, now I like them again because I can respect the I don't give a fuckness.
Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes that will work.
I think just having the awareness of like knowing that the people in the front row might be thinking that is great. It's like you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea ever. So it's
Yeah.
like, why not just be in as many different situations as you can. Like early on, we did like a show at the Gray Eagle, like after I'd been doing comedy for a year, one of those like best of Asheville shows that used to happen. And it was like, I fucking did so well. I've been doing like all right. And I had this great show, but I hadn't become aware of the room yet. And later I figured out, because it was like an older crowd that had like bought tickets, and like they love to hear me talk about being a dad, you know?
No, yeah.
So I thought I was like, oh, I'm finally in a real show and I got this, but it's like, no, those older people can sometimes like me, and I don't want to be their comedian. I don't want to be like,
Not
you know,
necessarily.
the old
That's
people with
true.
money's comedian. Like I would
Yeah.
much rather be the odd people are like what I
Right.
see as the future of the culture, or like where it's like where it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to be careful of that. We used to do back in the old days. We used to do. I was like 2012, guys. This is the old days. We used to do this show at the Grove Park Inn. It was at the wine bar downstairs in the basement of the Grove Park Inn, and it was all bachelor parties and like just the rich, fancy people sit
Yeah.
around with their wine glasses and mostly judging you for how you looked and how you acted. And those actually weren't that bad. They were kind of a minefield because you could definitely not go. You couldn't go political for sure, because they would close up completely and be like, we're not having this. But if you were doing stuff that, you could do stuff about drugs, you could do stuff about like whatever else you could do, except for religion and
Cops.
and yeah, you can't do cops. You can't do cops. But any of that other
Suicide? How do
stuff,
they feel about suicide?
they were cool with that.
Yeah?
They like suicide.
Drug suicide?
No, they're into suicide.
Sometimes the
especially
molestation doesn't
the poor
go well.
people committing suicide is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you found the right angle, you could make it work. But you always felt a little dirty about it.
Yeah, because you're more like
Like
a
you
court
sold your soul a
jester.
little
bit?
Yeah,
a
it's a court
little
jester
bit.
vibe in
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Court jester, yeah.
It's like-
bring me a poor person to make me laugh.
Right.
And you're like, oh, my life sucks. And they're like, oh. And then you get like $20 and you're like, what did I just do?
Right. Yeah.
I feel
don't
dirty.
feel good about this at all.
Yeah. The court, that's exactly what it is.
It's like what kind of the sound of the laugh, like what kind of laugh you're getting. And that's what I love about, like, at first it was my first year, it was like there's laughs or there's not, and then it's like some laughs are louder, and then it's like there's just the timbre of the laugh. I feel like the journey of comedy it just goes forever. Like before you die, how much awareness can you get about what people are like inside and what they laugh at? And that to me is just like such a cool life.
Yeah.
Like that. Why not try to do that?
Yeah.
Whether you make it like get famous or make money, like
Yeah.
Right.
just being in all these different rooms and being up there trying to make it bring it together. I mean, that's so cool.
It is cool. It's very cool.
It's
a hero's journey.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
rewarding. It's also so uncool. It's embarrassing
It's
yourself in the
incredibly
best
uncool,
way
yes,
ever.
yeah.
You're like, if I really embarrass myself really good tonight, I'll be so stoked. You know, like it's so it's vulnerable, but it's also like we talked about, like we're always like in control of the vulnerability.
Right.
But it is a mind fuck when you're doing it in front of people who are like also kind of judging you, and they don't want you to talk about like rich people things. They want you to talk about how shitty you're. It just makes them feel better about themselves, but you have to like lean into that very selflessly, but then it's still like an ego boost, which is weird.
When you can be like, my life is so shitty, and you can start with that, and then you can be like, because all y'all's fucking like I've seen it done where you get to them later, and then they've trusted you, and then you actually can get them laughing about their dynamic with you. And that, like when that can happen, that's like such a beautiful, amazing thing. You know, when you can actually get when the clown can get the rich people laughing at themselves for being corrupt.
Oh yeah, that's a real gift right there.
I've seen like Chesney pull that off a few
Chesney
times.
Cooley.
He can do anything.
He can, by the end of it, he's like really got it to some place where they might be a little different after this. You know,
Chesney definitely can do that. Chesney rules. Just Cooley can do that.
Yeah.
Cody can definitely do that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen Cody attempt that and it not go well, and usually it's still really funny, like to everybody else. Like,
that's I think is what's nice about this this scene as opposed to other places that I've gone to. Is like there's always somebody going to be laughing, even if it's just another comedian, but they're always going to be there for you. Like, it's not true everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really not.
I know.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I wonder when people like want to leave Asheville. Like, I definitely want to at some point. I know, like, to Chase show business here I feel like this is like serving perfectly to get started, and I will go eventually, but I do wonder like if there is like a disenchantment when people leave a little early and then they're like, oh, this scene isn't very nice, they're not booking you even less than I was getting booked in Asheville. And now
I'm doing 3 minutes for all comics at the open mics, and we're like, aha,
we
you
see
left us,
you.
but now it's
you failed. No, I don't. That's terrifying too. But
I can't leave.
But we're spoiled here in a
Yeah.
great way. There's so much audience here. There's so much
audience.
Yeah, and
Wednesday. I mean, what the
That's
hell?
crazy
Even
how
like
much-
Tuesdays. Like I think Mondays. I haven't been to, or is it Thursdays now? The like what you were describing about the social last night. Like I mean, that's kind of like a good situation somewhere else.
Anywhere else.
At least it's not all
Yeah.
comics, you know. But here we're spoiled. We have these amazing mics.
it's unbelievable.
Like the odds,
those are
Tuesday,
real-
Wednesday is just like, and I think throw Root Bar in there. I love Root Bar.
Yeah, Root Bar's fun.
Vomit out a bunch of like
It's
horse ideas.
it's a mess of a show, but it's a lot of fun.
Oh, so many things can happen at Root Bar.
So many things.
Oh my God, I saw a dude touch Cody's flank. He was like arguing with him, and the guy it was like chicken to like see who was gonna stop. And Cody's the one with the microphone.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And the people at Root Bar are just of a beautiful ilk. You know,
They
it's
really
such
are.
an interesting.
Well, lately it's been like there's really only 3 or 4 of them there, and then there's like 8 of us. So it's been kind of like a comics mic. So that's what I like about Root Bar is like I'll say things all for the first time there, because it's like even if it is just 10 comics, like if there's no reason to do things you've heard before, but it's cool to try new stuff for comics. It's kind of like a workshop vibe, and you can go a little longer. Like you might get like 6, 7, 8 minutes there, maybe, you know, versus like 4.
It's cool. The social's kind of like that. You definitely have that sort of loose feeling to it, but you do worry about like some old guy way in the back corner picking up on something you say and then like charging the stage. You do have to worry about a little bit like that.
But that's like how things are in other cities.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
people
that's
really
true.
like. I've heard horror stories of people getting like hit with bottles and stuff. You
Yeah,
know? Like, it's
absolutely.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's part of the outlaw element. It's like,
is.
there's been multiple times I've been on shows with different comics, and I get to the show. It's like, oh, I didn't know you were on the show. You weren't on the flyer, and they're like, yeah, there's like a warrant out for me. That's happened more than once with different. I'm like, yeah, this community has outlaws. This is cool.
Absolutely.
This is way cooler than the work, folks. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
God, it's so true.
Just the bottles could be thrown, you know?
Oh,
the
God.
police could bust in. It's exciting.
But in Asheville, you do have like this like different standard of like protecting each other. I think like with hecklers, I've seen Chesney like shut someone down, and he wasn't even the one on stage. He was like to the side, and he was like, "Shut the fuck up!" I was like, "Oh my God, I love Chesney."
Emily came that night. She was like, "Is it always like this?" I'm like, "Yeah, always. It's always."
I love
it's not
it.
always, but yeah, that was an intense night.
That was great. I mean, not that I support that ever happening, but sometimes audiences getting really. I think the crowd work videos on the internet is making audience real brave, and they talk a lot and they're drunk, and we wait all week for this mic. Don't talk at this one. Like, stop.
We only got 4 minutes. Yeah, if you deal with like a heckler, then you're the lights on and you're done with your time.
Yeah, exactly. That's not cool. Not cool. Heckler. This is a message to all hecklers. Not cool.
You got any heckler strategies? You leave long pauses. You do weird jokes. You've been around forever. What have you got? Heckler?
My only response to hecklers is nope.
I've got to learn. I've got to learn how to just be like, nope, nope. I engage. It's bad. Yeah.
Yep, that's not how I do it.
You just go,
Yep.
The last time that I think you and Alex were on the podcast, you guys were like, what is it about Ryan that has such a heckleable, which I never even heard before or since.
Something about that,
you guys were like, you're so heckleable. I was like, what the?
I said that, and then I told someone else that I said that, and they were like, Sarah, come on. And I was like, I said it to him. It's not like it's just an observation about the audience of anything. It's not even you know what I mean?
It was like we didn't even go like,
I felt
are
so
you heckleable? It was just like, why are you so heckleable? And I was like, I don't know. But then afterwards, I was like, I didn't know I was that.
Yeah.
Asking the tough questions.
But it's good. The pod is supposed to be kind of messy. You know?
God.
You're supposed to contradict yourself and say things. You're supposed to start talking shit on here and then say things that like were a little beyond what you felt. That's part of the fun, you know?
God.
So,
Sure. Whatever you say.
I've probably already done that. I have no real opinions on anything, so they waver from moment to moment.
Well, that's kind of how we are. Like, I think as people really underneath it all, you have to kind of keep this image together. But like, I do a lot of like experimental music with people. So that's kind of the idea for this, is that we're just making sounds together.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have to be, it's just kind of, it's good to just like kind of be a little messy with your beliefs.
And comedy is like that though too. It's like it's as much about rhythm and tone as it is about what you're saying.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you create your own rhythm, and it's your persona, whatever you create, and then you just keep repeating it like a song. And then and that's what brings people along with you. And then the words sort of seep into their heads, you know. They kind of makes a little
almost like they're secondary to the vibe and the rhythm and the sounds. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that.
I do laugh on cadence alone a lot, and then I'll feel silly. I'll be like, oh wait, was that funny? I just knew like Pavlov's dog I was supposed to laugh. Like,
Right. Well, it's good. It worked.
It works. I mean, it's like satisfying to, I don't know. Yeah, comedy's great.
You ever watch comedy in like non-English or with the sound down and see like it can still be funny? Like watch your favorite comedian with the sound down, and it's like there's funny shit happening.
Really?
Our brains kind of almost fool us that it's like the words, but there's like so much more. I love other languages because it's like you can still get the rhythm thing you were talking about without the meaning of the words.
I haven't done that. I remember there was a comedian that was coming around. Gosh, this is me making lore of somebody, but Ivan Judas, who has clips of Spanish, like doing it in Spanish. And I know he's being hilarious, but he also sounds like a little, you almost can be kind of different people in different languages too.
Right.
Like the impact seems so different. Some comedians, their just accents make them way funnier. Like British comedians are hilarious. Like the dry, like Brit, I don't know.
You mean like stand-up or like Monty Python? Or,
both. Yeah. I just got told about a show called Peep Show. And
Peep Show's
it's
great.
So good.
Oh my god, that
British
show.
stand-up?
No. It's
like a
sketch?
TV show.
It's a skitcom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Skitcom.
It's a skitcom.
Is that what they call them over there?
No, it's not. It's a sitcom.
Skitcom has to be a thing. That's a great new word.
But the accent in that, it's like, and just the slang and stuff is so fun.
So those guys also did a sketch show.
Okay.
It's called the Mitchell and Webb Hour or something like that.
Okay, I saw some of those.
And those are really funny too.
Yeah.
I really like those.
Yeah. British humor is great. It's interesting.
British humor.
You hate it.
You don't get it because they're British.
You know what? They fucking had to take rock and roll from us and make it so much better. Stand-up's ours, bitch. Like,
It's true. That is true.
And
we did create
We've
that.
got
That's
it.
true.
I just hung out with so many people that are like Monty Python, and I'm like, man, I just want fucking,
That's like humorism.
it's America talking about farts up there. That's what I
It's
want.
all fun.
I want it down here. I want it down in the soul area. I don't want it up here. You know.
Just
Yeah.
don't make it
I don't
about
want comedy
this.
talking down
Make
to
it
me.
about this.
But even when they're
My
doing
whole life is up here. I work up here. Like I want to fucking I want the blues, man. I want it like dirty. You know. I want. Yeah, I don't know.
But like even like
All right,
a comedian like Ricky Gervais, who is like a this comedian, but
Yeah.
also is talking down
Yeah,
on
yeah.
you at the same time.
I'm a huge fan of him. I feel
Yeah,
like
he's great.
he transcends nationality, like because The Office is his, but
Yeah.
he manages to kind of be both.
Yes,
He's American.
He kind of
Dual
is.
citizenship.
Okay, fair.
But no, I'm not. It's already crumbling apart. My whole anti-British stance.
You can't hold up to that.
I know what you
It's
mean.
not
It's
gonna
like
work.
the humorism. It's just
They
different.
haven't like they did with music. They took it all from us and made it better. Like the Beatles. So I feel like they haven't done it with stand. They're trying
Listen.
right now. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're trying. It's an American art form, like jazz.
You understand that we
serious.
You're
still
unraveling.
you are
you have to talk
digging
about
the biggest
Beatles and
hole
the
right now.
Stones.
You do not want to
Led
make
Zeppelin,
these. You do
The Who.
not want to
No,
make
you'll
these
go viral.
comparisons.
Let's
You do
do
not
it.
want to do this.
Hot take. Hot take.
This doesn't end well for me.
No,
or
it does
for
not.
America.
Because all I have to do is.
Oh my God! Comedian on podcast talks America's better than Britain.
I was just saying I should be saying things I don't agree with later.
it's just when
pod
he
gets good
starts
is when you
chanting
start-
MAGA and stuff. I was like, oh great, here we are.
MAGA's not anti-England. I mean, they're like more.
That's the original, though,
Yeah.
isn't that?
Are
the
you
original?
defending MAGA now? Is that what you're
Make
doing?
America great again. Give it to the Brits. Give it back.
There's a lot there actually.
Yeah,
I'm trying to do
go
some
down
material
that.
on that. It's complicated. Like the way that wasn't Lincoln like a Republican? 'Cause when we
Yes,
start going
he
back
was.
in time, it starts
flips.
flipping.
It
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
flip.
That's what I was
Yes,
trying to answer. That
yes.
like was like the George Washington. Like what the fucking team was he on?
They didn't have parties like that back then. It's
He was
like
probably
Whigs
a
and
Democrat with
Tories
slaves.
or whatever.
Anything that gets this much of a response from me, like when I'm seeing this, I'm like, that is when I know I have to write something about it. Even though I feel like
Yeah.
maybe doing jokes about comedy, but just something about like the rock and roll. Like you were really like, I
Okay.
love. There's something there.
See, that's
Something
why
like-
that's what this is. So
Yeah.
that's like
Right.
get that down. I'm like there's an emotion, there's a feeling, and that's kind of like talking about the odd and this new way of like not just trying to write one-liners, but get into the real shit. It's kind of like what are the things that like I'm afraid of or I'm passionate about? The things that really stir up like chemistry in me.
Yeah.
Try to take those to the stage instead of like the British. Like, ooh, I'm so clever in my mind. Fucking. You colonize the whole fucking planet, and then you still are like,
All right,
we're better
all right.
than you. We're better than you.
Man,
We're better than you. It's just like it's not even funny. They don't know how to take pauses or slow down.
Ryan,
It's
who hurt
anxious.
you?
It's just
Who
so
hurt
anxious.
you?
And their teeth are bad.
I was molested by- I had a
And
British
they eat
nanny
weird
who-
food. Anti-Anglo.
Oh my god!
I actually did have a bit. I was trying to do about Stonehenge recently, where it's some anti-British thing. Because I lived over there for a little while. A bunch of assholes.
Hey, now.
I don't mean that. I really don't hate any group.
I
group of people.
hate
I don't
it.
hate
I
any
know,
group of people.
I know.
I start getting mad. I'm like, hey, I leave this storm away. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I want to find like the right group to pick on. I'm looking for that group.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the British are the ones,
I
but
think it's
there's
us. I think it's middle-aged
I think
white
it's
guys.
us. I think it's
unfortunately.
us. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think British is funny to make fun of anybody. Like, I love, yeah.
The British you can pick on. Right?
Totally.
You can be racist against the British.
Right.
Like, everyone's allowed to.
Yeah,
Totally.
I mean, it's not even racism. What is it?
Well,
I
it
should
is.
edit. This is all getting edited out.
It's
I did it the
No,
first-
no, no.
Nationalism.
No, no.
Nationalism is what it
Nationalism.
is. Oh, that's
And I just
not
wanna
good. You don't wanna
say-
do that.
This is like Morrissey or something.
Yeah.
My dad's ethnicity thing came back that he's more English than the common Englishman.
Whoa.
And he's actually very tan all year round and has black hair. So I'm like, what the hell? We thought he was going to get like, he was saying black Irish the whole time. But yeah, that's, so you better watch your mouth
Watch out now.
when you're around me.
Do you have like, is your other side English too, or do you have?
It's a lot of English, I think French Canadian, and there's maybe some mystery around if I have some Jewish on my mom's side, but there's like some interesting like name changes and moves to Portugal and like there's all some interesting, so I should probably get it myself, but I think it's like as white as can be.
Yeah. Same
so
here.
white I'm exotic. Like people are like, what are you? I'm like, so white,
Translucent.
It's not cool. I wanted something. So British humor is amazing. Peep Show, watch it. It's hilarious.
I'm just slow, so I don't like fast stuff. How about that?
They talk too fast for you?
Well, yeah, I think slow down. I think being slow can be kind of like more genius than being fast. Like, or that's just what I'm trying to go. Like Einstein would just sit there with like socks that didn't match and just think all slowly, and then so that's kind of the way I try to go about it. And I think the British is just like, oh, we made a fool of you. It's like just being fast isn't necessarily smart. Okay,
it's true. You're very time management though. That's interesting. You wouldn't like the fast.
Yeah. Well, but then like once we get into the time, we just chill though. So it's like I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever you say, man. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Ben's podcast is a lot more structured than this.
I'm gonna do a British humor podcast now. It's gonna be all British, and you're not invited.
And it's gonna go so fast.
Yeah, and it's gonna go so fast. It's gonna be like 7 minutes long.
And you'll have me on and just like bombard me with puns, and I'll be like, oh,
I'm actually gonna
understand what's happening.
I'm actually gonna talk really slow for 30 minutes and then speed it up to 2.5 times speed, just for you.
You don't find it stressful trying to listen to like fast shit?
I have to do it sometimes.
It's just like,
I have to do it.
Like trying to read documentation or something. It's like,
yeah. When it's just leisurely, you have to listen to it regular. But I did listen to your Petey and Cody one really fast because I was like,
you like sped the time up?
Because I didn't want to do something else while I was watching. I knew I was going to full blown like not tune in and out. So I was like, I'm just going to and that's what Petey told me to do that on a different episode of it. So he deserves me to do that on his episode. Yeah.
Huh. Do you remember which one it was? He was like, you should listen to it.
I'm not going to say it.
You don't want to give them. Okay.
No, I got mentioned kind of in it a little bit, so that's why.
Oh, did he give you a time code?
No, he did say like
1:32:58.
I like the messiness of how this last part of this went. That's when your one with the Cody and Petey I started listening to was when it felt like tea was being spilled. I was like, oh, let's listen up. Regular speed.
Oh, that would happen on my podcast too, and that's definitely a double-edged sword.
Did you actually? Was there like a reckoning of any kind from anything that happened?
I don't think there was necessarily, but there should have been.
Yeah.
Some of those early shows really should have been.
It's just a bunch of shit talkers.
It's just information.
Yeah.
You don't do anything about it.
It's the thing you said one time. If you're a comedian, you should be forgiving of that.
Yeah, of course.
Well, yes, but
the comedy community,
you should be.
But this comedy community is very gossipy. I mean, they are a bunch of hens.
Yeah.
Guilty.
I mean,
but everybody loves gossip. Yeah.
Like when I come back from like the open mics, hey, what's up, June? That's my other kid just arrived.
It's like a natural like sign off. It's so good.
Yeah.
This is a
Hey, June. Do you want to say something into the
Oh, she's hilarious. She said doors these days, they never work. They're
work.
tricky doors.
Callback. Nice.
I'm such a professional.
Very good.
Do you want to just look at the books for a minute? Or you want to?
Yeah, but
Want me to hold this?
I'm just letting you.
Okay.
Oh.
This is June.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Sarah and
Ben. Nice to meet you.
Look at you repeating the name. Wow.
Yeah, my other kid's here somewhere
Kids
too.
rock. Hey. Hi. Your wife has cool glasses always.
Yeah, I like this too. The messiness of this, like to me, that's like exciting.
Yeah,
like I think my family life and my comedy life have been separate for so long. So the pod, like sometimes it's at my house, like them bleeding together is kind of like I don't know.
Well, when people
Just
like that in your
interesting
comedy, is
dynamic.
you talking about your family and seeing them is like nice. So,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah.
you're like a full character, you know? Yeah.
This is the brand.
We were talking about messiness and drama having because of podcasts, but
I was just gonna say that like Emily,
What
she
a
appeared at
timing.
that moment that like I'll come home and she'll, it's like my set and my jokes, and then she's like, yeah, who gives a shit? And then I'm like, well, there was a little drama between these two comedians. She's like, okay,
Yeah,
so like
absolutely.
I'm like, it's a bunch of insane, like brilliant people just like mashing their
Yeah.
egos together, not getting the spots they want. Like the gossip's so good.
it's so good.
That's
really is.
really the real reason to do it.
Actually, and that's the bonfires I was talking about earlier. That's kind of what that is all about.
I
It's
love
just
that.
The whole
Barbershop.
thing is just gossip for 2.5 hours.
all the
in
people
front
that
of a
aren't
fire.
there are gonna get this shit. And there's
you
not even a
should show
recording
up.
happening,
No,
so you
no,
can
no.
really fucking.
And if you hate that, like I was sitting back and I was like, oh, I hate the idea. Because sometimes your podcast does make you realize, oh yeah, people talk about other people. You think you're in this like vacuum of ignorance is bliss, but then you realize like, isn't being famous just being gossiped about by
Oh,
everyone?
yeah.
So
But-
if you can't handle it,
Yeah,
like,
not ever being mentioned. Like that would be my defense to certain people that might be like, I heard you were talking shit. It's like, well, yeah, we're roasting you on the pod. Like, not ever being mentioned is the true insult.
I know.
True.
I get mad when no one does talk about me. I'm
Yeah,
like,
they
hell.
talked for 2 hours and I didn't come up once. What
I
the fuck is
know.
wrong with these people?
I know. But everybody in this scene is so like, I feel like mindful that like I don't know if much gets said that's worthy of someone like, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like people are being. I actually listen to podcasts where they talk crazy stuff
It is
about other.
crazy.
I know when you
Isn't
get
that
more
crazy?
famous, it's like
Yeah.
you don't care.
But I think they're in that Kanye thing where it's like, just keeping the algo on you. And I mean, I
Yeah.
try not to do it that way because that's what I like about it being regional. Is it's like it isn't some like we're all like doing stadiums and shit. So it's more honest like shit talking gossip. It's a little
Yeah.
creepy when like I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
celeb gossip. This is the
I
real
love
shit.
it,
We
though.
have real lives
Yeah.
to gossip about.
It's good.
Just
Plus, we
Clowns at
know
the
the
bottom.
people.
Yeah.
Right? We know
Right.
who they are. We
Yeah.
know about them.
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then they come on and they
Yeah.
attempt to defend themselves or not. I don't know.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love that you're
Yeah,
doing this.
it's
This
fun.
is so sick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Well
Yeah.
done.
Well, should we wrap up on that note? That feels like a good positive
Yeah.
note.
Yeah,
we're at
when
an
we
hour 20.
pour the compliments on top of you, that's a good time to
all
quit.
right, let's, fuck the British. Thank you for coming
Down
by.
with the British is what I was gonna say.
All right. Appreciate you both.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thanks. Bye.